Hi everyone. Of course, as soon as I start, I immediately need to take a drink of water. Um, and we're back. Yesterday, my camera stopped functioning. This hadn't been a problem before. I had, excuse me, I had a problem with the camera. I guess it was something connecting to the power supply, the batteries. I would take the batteries out, put them in again, and it worked. But that didn't happen yesterday. I replaced the batteries. I tried shifting them, whatever. The camera isn't working anymore. I need a new one, which is why I'm doing this differently today. I'm using my. I was all set to make 2 videos yesterday, and I couldn't turn the camera on. I was just like, no more videos, no more videos for a while. And then I remembered, oh, that's right, I have this one right here. So, and I have a decent mic now, which is better than it was before a couple years ago when I was using this. So Top 10 Tuesday was yesterday. But before I get into that, I wanted to mention that I'm going to be doing a live hangout today. The links to the potential channels are below. I haven't heard back from any of the collab guys who say they want to do a hangout. And if they don't, I'm going to do it on my own channel, but it won't be this one. It will be my other channel because my other channel has Google Plus and this one, CineRam, does not. So it's the Shakespeare channel, possibly. And the link to that is below. But if the guys want to do a hangout on the collab channel, then it will be on that one. So check them both. The time is going to be 8:30 Chicago time. Excuse me, London time. 2:30 p.m. Chicago time. 3:30 p.m. New York time. I want to say 12:30 Los Angeles time. Unfortunately, EJ, I know, isn't going to be able to join us. He can really only do hangouts on Sundays, it would seem, because of his work schedule. But most of the guys, of course, are in the UK, so it'll be evening for them, so hopefully they'll be able to participate. I haven't gotten a chance to do a live hangout with James. He's the only guy I haven't gotten to do a hangout with. And Ian as well. Ian's pretty busy, it seems. He hasn't been able to post lately on the collab. So we'll see about that. Anyway, speaking of James, Top 10 Tuesday, it was comedies. The theme for this week is comedies. And I am reluctant to rank these like I was with the war movies, so I'll just start with the most recent ones and work my way backwards. We're doing this week anything that came out prior to the year 2000. I'm sure you can guess what next week's theme is, but these are comedy feature motion pictures that came out prior to the year 2000. So in 1999, Being John Malkovich came out. It made my top 5 of the year. I really like that movie a lot. It's directed by Spike Jonze. Stars John Cusack, Cameron Diaz, Catherine Keener, and of course Mr. Malkovich himself as the guy who has a portal into his mind. And Cusack and Cameron Diaz, Catherine Keener, they start to make it into a business. They invite people to pay $200 to spend 15 minutes inside Malkovich's brain, and once Malkovich finds out about this, it's all Malkovich! He gets really angry and wants them to stop, and there's all kinds of craziness that happens. Fun movie. I was smart enough not to read too many reviews before seeing the movie, and so a lot of the things that happened were a surprise, which was great. I highly recommend that way to watch it. 1998. 2 movies that made my top 10 for that year. There's Something About Mary. Of course, Cameron Diaz again. This one's done by the Farrelly brothers. Has Ben Stiller in it, of course, and Matt Dillon. Hilarious movie. After I saw the movie, I guessed the following year it would win Best Movie at MTV, and it did. I regret not putting some money down at that point, you know. But yeah, it was just perfect. Just a great movie. Very well written movie. Really funny. And nothing that the Farrelly brothers have done since then has been up there. I know a lot of people like Dumb and Dumber. I'm not big on Dumb and Dumber. I'm just not. Another movie that came out that year, not so quite a high profile, but it did have Ben Stiller in it, and that's Zero Effect. Zero Effect's directed by Jake Kasdan, and it's sort of a modern day spin on Sherlock Holmes. You have this guy, he's super intelligent, he's very intuitive, he spots all kinds of tiny little details to help him solve his case, but he's a social misfit. He's locked up in his apartment all the time, and just doesn't know how to interact with people. He's played by Bill Pullman. That's Daryl Zero. His assistant, his Watson, if you will, is Ben Stiller. And they're hired by Ryan O'Neal to solve a blackmail case. As it turns out, Kim Dickens, who is an EMT, a paramedic, is blackmailing him, but they don't know why exactly. And Daryl kind of meets his match with her. She's a really, really great character, and really like the movie at all. It's one of those nice, low-key, modest movies that I go, geez, enough with all the effects, enough with the big action and the highfalutin awards bait and what have you. This is what good movies are right here. Really like that movie a lot. Another 99 movie that I forgot to mention. Let me just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, there's an even 10 here. Another movie that came out in 99 that I missed is the Alexander Payne film Election. I'm not sure whether or not this or Citizen Ruth is his best movie, but this movie is darn good. And the funny thing about it is that there's actually a lot of Goodfellas visual style in here with freeze frames, flashbacks, multiple narrators. It's based on a novel, and it's about this high school student council election that just goes haywire. And there's all sort of cheating and scandals going on here, and a teacher is sleeping with one of the students. Matthew Broderick's the main character. He's a teacher, very well-liked teacher, is running the student council election. Chris Klein and Reese Witherspoon are competing against each other. It's definitely one of Reese's best pictures. It's a really, really fun movie. There aren't hardly any actors in it that you would recognize except for those three. Everyone else was local talent. They shot it in Omaha, Nebraska, and all the actors who are in the movie are from Omaha, including Chris Klein. Of course, he went on to have a Hollywood career after that, but I think Jessica Campbell, who plays Chris Klein's sister, went on to do a few things, but, the only actual Hollywood people there were Reese and Mr. Bueller. Let's jump back to 1994, Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is considered a comedy by me. I believe it's a comedy. Of course, with a lot of Tarantino movies, Pulp Fiction is many things. Is Reservoir Dogs a drama? Is it a heist movie? It's not really a thriller. Is it a comedy? It has a lot of comedy in it. Pulp Fiction to me is a comedy, although it has dramatic moments. It's got violence, it's got suspense, but overall the tone is very comedic. And it ends mostly happily for a lot of the characters involved. Not all of them. In fact, I was pretty surprised by how many characters did not get killed when I first saw Pulp Fiction. Because in Reservoir Dogs, nearly everyone gets killed in that movie. Nearly everyone. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm not going to give away who lives, but lots and lots of people get killed in that movie. Pulp Fiction ends more or less on a happy note. And there's lots of themes of redemption, and it is largely comedic, I'd say, despite the peril that the characters find themselves in. Of course, Pulp Fiction is, classic. And I waver on which is better, Pulp Fiction or Jackie Brown. They're both really good, but they're very different from each other. Jackie Brown's more of a drama. I think Jackie Brown probably has the stronger characters, but Pulp Fiction is just so iconic and just so, you just can't forget it when you see it. That one's definitely up there. Let's jump back now to 1992, Bob Roberts. Bob Roberts is the directorial debut of Tim Robbins, who also stars in the movie. It's based on a Saturday Night Live sketch that he did about an ultra-conservative folk-singing political candidate named Bob Roberts. And the movie basically takes the form of a documentary. It's a mock doc. It's hilarious. It's a really, really funny movie. There's lots and lots of great character actors. Of course, Tim Robbins, being a well-liked actor, got many of his friends to appear in the movie, do little cameos and what have you. But the key character is played by Giancarlo Esposito, who is a journalist for a sort of independent mag called Troubled Times, and he is intent on weeding out the corruption and bringing down Bob Roberts because he doesn't like his politics and he doesn't like what's going to happen to the country if he gets elected to the Senate. It's a really, really great movie. Bit broad, but at the time, 1992, this was when I was like 19 years old, I needed sort of a broad movie like this to really sort of point out the differences between the political parties, I guess. At the time, it was just like, whoa. And now it seems a little bit silly, but it'll always be one of my favorite movies. In 1991, L.A. Story with Steve Martin. Steve Martin starred and wrote the film L.A. Story, and Mick Jackson directed it. It's about basically meteorologist, a TV personality in Los Angeles, and just like the funny quirks of living in LA with the funny, quirky people that live in LA and just what's important to them and what have you. There's a big cast in this movie, off the top of my head. Sarah Jessica Parker, Richard E. Grant, and Victoria Tennant, who Steve Martin used to be married to. They met, I think, while they were making All of Me. Yeah, she's his leading lady in this film, and it's great. It's a really, really terrific movie. Makes very good use of a particular Enya song. But yeah, it's just a fun movie overall. Kevin Pollak's in this movie too. He's really great. And that's the 90s. Let me jump back now to some of my favorite comedies of the 80s. Not a big fan of 80s comedies overall. And there are a lot of contemporary comedies that I don't like either. You know, it's just like the nonstop raunchy humor and what have you. It's just not my thing. It's never been my thing. And so back in the 80s, you've got movies like Caddyshack and Meatballs and Porky's and stuff like that. I wanted to put Ghostbusters on this list. But if I did, I would also have to put on Back to the Future because I consider that a comedy too. And I wanted to cut out all the genre stuff. No sci-fi comedies, no horror comedies, something like just straight comedies. So Ghostbusters, unfortunately, doesn't make my list this time. And neither does Back to the Future. However, a few movies that do. Raising Arizona by Joel and Ethan Coen. The first movie I saw by them. Nicolas Cage, Holly Hunter, bunch of great people. John Goodman, William Forsythe. You know, what a fun movie. Crazy camera work. Just loved it. Got a big kick out of it. Switching Channels is a film which stars Burt Reynolds and Kathleen Turner and Christopher Reeve. Burt Reynolds is the guy who runs a cable news network in Chicago. Kathleen Turner is his ex-wife and also his star reporter, star correspondent. And goes on vacation. She comes back with a new fiance, Christopher Reeve. And he's like, geez, if she moves over to Washington, D.C. with this schmo, this guy who sells sports equipment for a living, then I'm going to lose my star correspondent, and I'm going to lose her. I'm going to lose all chance of winning her back. So he tries all these underhanded tactics throughout the whole movie to get her to stay in Chicago and cover a live execution. It's based on something called The Front Page, which could have been a play originally, but it was turned into a film. And it's been adapted a number of times, but Switching Channels is the 80s version of that. Didn't get a lot of love when it came out, but I really like it a lot. It's a madcap comedy, very, very fast-paced, lots of fun. I really enjoy it quite a lot. And it's great seeing Christopher Reeve as someone who isn't like super like, you know, stoic. He is, but in a funny way, you know, and it's undermined, actually. Burt Reynolds, you know, I've never been like a huge fan of his, but this is a really fun movie, so I would highly recommend it. And Top Secret, starring Val Kilmer. It's a one of those airplane and Naked Gun type comedies. It riffs on World War II movies, and also Elvis movies. Val Kilmer plays Nick. Darn it, what's his last name? Can't remember. Anyway, he's a rock star in like the 40s. Not that they had rock stars in the 40s. And he gets drafted to go overseas on some mission in Germany, basically, to bust out this scientist. And he's fighting off the Germans. It's just like non-stop sight gags and jokes, just like any of those other movies. Really, really terrific movie. And one of my favorite Val Kilmer movies. That and Real Genius are like, Val Kilmer's totally awesome. Not so much these days, but he has had his good moments. Also, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is really funny in that too. I think that's an even 10. A few honorable mentions. Hero, starring Dustin Hoffman, which came out in 92. Rookie of the Year, about the kid who suddenly develops a really huge, incredible fastball arm and starts playing for the Cubs. That was in 93. Ed Wood by Tim Burton and Johnny Depp. Hudsucker Proxy, another Coen Brothers movie, again with Tim Robbins and Jennifer Jason Leigh. David O. Russell's film Flirting with Disaster with Ben Stiller and Téa Leoni. Really, really great movie. Citizen Ruth, which I mentioned before, that's an Alexander Payne movie and has Laura Dern in the cast. Yeah, so those are some good pre-2000 comedies, ones that I really like. Thank you very much for watching. I know James did a video. I'm not sure who else has done comedy videos at this point. I know that one of the guys, part of the original trio, has said that he doesn't want to do it anymore. That's what James mentioned. But any other videos that I spot, I will include the link to it in the description so you can check it out. And please take a look at my Facebook page for an update on when I'm going to be doing the Hangout today. It could be like real soon. We'll see. Later.